So, Hans-Peter, can you tell me about what your biggest take-home message would be from the chemical alternatives part of the workshop?
Well, that's such an interesting question because I heard so many different things from policymakers, academics, our own colleagues in ZeroPM. And one thing that struck me is that there's kind of everybody is looking at it from a different point of view. So I think academics, they can maybe find a technical, safer chemical, but you need to really work with the industry to know if it is actually usable, enforceable, and often the reason it's not is hard to find. Like it was often mentioned, it's some one lone actor in the supply chain with small margins or SMEs. So this was something I have to think about more. A lot of exciting policy things. What was your main takeaway about the policy from the workshop?
Do you know what? Actually, my main takeaway was when one person said that to reduce the risk, you can reduce the hazard first, and exposure actually becomes less important. I mean, for me, that's a really good take-home message because I think that's something that everybody can work with, policymakers, industry, everybody in the water sector, and even companies working with solutions. But of course, there is huge amounts of policy that's just been updated. So we heard all about those as well. Another good take-home was actually the fact that we should harmonise things between America, Canada, Asia, all the different regions as well as Europe. It seems like Europe is leading the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That was mentioned, and all those takeaways. And I like what Joel Tickner said when he said, "Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the better." Yeah, so we can. Very good. Yeah. I love that one. Love that one.
But okay, Hans-Peter. So we were talking about one other topic, and that was market transition.
Yeah.
And we also heard actually from a financial investor, which gave this really different, broad perspective.
Yeah.
What else would you say is like a take-home from that particular part of the workshop?
Well, I'll just talk about that investor first, because I think after day one, that was definitely the presentation that had the most energized. Like we never even thought of that, and the fact that people who are giving money to shareholders in companies were thinking about hazardous substances and wanting information about them and why they're thinking about long-term risks. So this is like hedge fund management. This just blew everybody away, I think, and that was an important viewpoint because we haven't heard from them before. This is really eye-opening. But also different stakeholders were talking about different things. Industry was, talking about that level playing field, international rules. They're also talking about companies that are more vulnerable, like the SMEs I mentioned earlier. They have fewer margins to do assessments, things like that we have to work on. Incentives was another important one because like in some companies might not want to invest in that safer alternative, but if there's mechanisms like prize money or carrots or tax levies, I don't know, but incentives could also be a good way forward. We need more carrots, we need more investment, and I think that's what we have to hear more from.
No, it was really interesting to have. I think we had so many different stakeholders and so many different opinions, but for me, I really, really enjoyed the workshop. So I hope everybody who attended also enjoyed the workshop.
Yeah, I think it would be unforgettable, and I hate to say that, but I do think we're achieving the world, living up to the goals of our project, zero pollution of persistent mobile substances by getting all these people to interlink strategies to accomplish this. That's what we set out to do, and that's what we'll do.
And we'll see you next time at the next workshop, which will be next year.
ZeroPM, Zero Pollution of Persistent and Mobile Substances. This project has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme under grant agreement number 101036756.